is the Sunrise Sessions, and today we're going to talk about God's steering wheel. Let me get this camera so I can see. There we go. We're going to talk about God's steering wheel. So, when this one sits in the morning, usually get up around 5 a.m. and sitting is observed. The body sits. And generally, especially recently, very quickly, any idea of an individual disappears. No body, no idea of the little me, of the person, of the Martin. And sometimes 2 hours can just disappear and there's no idea, no conception of time. So today was the little person, the little me, the little Martin was a little bit more persistent. Little Martin can't help but play with the light as well. So, yeah, the person was a little bit more persistent today. Persistent little person. Thoughts were more prevalent, let's say. And so there was a moment where that was noticed. Just noticing that thoughts are much more busy, let's say. I'm sure everyone can relate in some way to that. So yeah, thoughts were a little bit more persistent. And right away there was just awareness that that's also seen. That's also noticed. So there are some days that it seems like it's just emptiness. There's no one the thoughts are appearing to. And today there was someone receiving these thoughts, and that was noticed, that was fine, and that's something seen. That's seen as well. A busy mind is seen, an empty mind is seen by something that is not busy or empty. And so, just give that as a little bit of context. And then so there's a question arose. And I actually can't remember the question, but the question doesn't really matter. I kind of just there was a question just put out there to give me a symbol or a sign or an idea to bring some clarity. And so instantaneously, kind of a vision. I'm not really visual, it's just, but there's just a knowing. It's not like it's really hard to explain. Just an instantaneous knowing, but there's like a vision or a story that can express it. I suppose that's the best way to do. So what I was shown was the person, the little me, was like a baby, sat in the back of the car with, like a little play steering wheel. So like there'd be toy steering wheels for children, and they've got both hands on the steering wheel, and it might look very elaborate, and they're in the back playing that they're driving the car. And it was showing that the divine is driving the car, and it's always driving the car, and it doesn't need our input. But it's so much fun for the little one, the little person, the little player in the back to have its steering wheel, believing that and playing that it's driving the car, it's making decisions. And this was like around like free will and stuff like that. It's like free will is the little person in the back seat playing with their steering wheel and believing that when they're changing gears, when they're turning the wheel, that it's actually driving the car. When actually the divine is always driving the car and has turned every corner before it is even thought of. And that God's steering wheel, the divine steering wheel, the spiritual steering wheel, is not affected by what is happening around it. Everything is already created, everything is already here, everything already is. But we get to play in the back seat, not knowing that we're in the back seat. We get to play being in the back seat, not knowing that we actually, the play, it's important that it works, that it's realistic. We believe we're in the front seat. We believe we're driving this. We believe that we're making decisions and things are happening. We're believing that the cause and effects we are the cause of these effects. Causes and effects are a reality in this dream, but we are not the cause of those. We are the experiencer of those. We are the witnesser of those causes. So every cause that ever was is already, and every effect that ever appears is because of those causes. Every action that's ever been taken by every apparent being, and all the causes and effects of nature, they're all already existing. But the human, the little me, the little player in the back with the steering wheel. So the little guy or gal sat in the back seat with the steering wheel gets to play out the game of cause and effect, believing that when I turn to the left, that little play steering wheel, everything goes to the left, and then all of the things that happen are because I turned it to the left. When in actuality, I got the vision that I was given. It was like God's steering wheel is always steering. It's always it. It's always, don't use the word control, but everything's already happened. Everything already is, and God's steering wheel is always steering us back home. And now us as the little play one in the back, we might steer ourselves far, far away from home. We may believe ourselves to be lost. We might have accidents. We might get into races. We might do all sorts of things in this car of creation. But this vision very clearly showed that that's like a little toy in the back seat, and this is like God's virtual reality, not some of the distorted VR you're getting now. Well, every distortion is a part of the one whole as well. So not to just stay on the theme this week of not polarizing too much. Martin wants to say this: when you see when you see humans walking around the streets with headsets on them, pressing things on the, this is the distortion of the virtual reality coming manifest now. Things that a few years ago you would never even dream would be possible. That people are crossing the road with a thing and they're pressing little buttons in the air. But yeah, Martin just needs to say that. That advancement, so called. Anyway, Martin just jumped in there. Where were we? Yes, the virtual reality of the human is playing, that you've got the steering wheel in the back and playing it out, so the virtual reality needs to show that the person in the back is not in the back, the person's in the front. It would be pointless if the little person always knew that they're in the back seat and when they turn the steering wheel it doesn't work. No, it has to feel like you're in control. It has to feel like you can make choices. It has to seem like every choice you make has a corresponding effect. And again, in this relative reality, it's true. If I jump off this cliff down onto those rocks, my knowing that I am absolute reality, that I am the source, will need to be very, very strong for me to not have the experience of dropping off here and landing on the rocks. In ultimate reality, it wouldn't make a difference, but to the little me, it absolutely would. Gravity is a relative reality, but it will have an effect on this body if it stepped off this cliff onto those rocks. So it's not about denial, it's not about bypassing, it is about always coming from the bigger picture, but honoring, experiencing, loving the relative reality, the experience of the little me, the Hue-Mans steering wheel is the VR, the virtual reality of the God's steering wheel, God's vehicle, the car of creation that's already taken every journey possible. And this doesn't mean predetermination. It doesn't mean predestination. It means that everything is in potential, and the one that the little me gets to experience is up to its own choice, is up to its own perspective. Do you see the horizon, or do you see infinite potential? And all of the gradations and potentials in between. A little seagull agreeing there. popping in. And so, oh, there you go. Hello, come say hello. Oh, you missed. So yes, God's steering wheel and the Hue-Mans plaything, I think was the title. And calling it the Hue, so the Hue is like light, man, Hue-Mans, not about man, woman. Men, not about man, woman. It's Hue-Man, it's humanity. Not about a man or a woman. It's the light being. Has the ability of refracting light in many different ways through the prism of your reality. You have many different ways in which you can refract light. And so many different perspectives of that light can be open to you depending on the perspective that you hold, depending on where you're looking from, depending on who you believe yourself to be when you're looking at this, and the degree to which you can expand your awareness of what that is and open to new ideas. This is a real big theme for Martin this week at 11:11, is the ability to expand beyond your confirmation bias, expand beyond your deeply held belief systems, and being able to see multiple potentials. There's the mastery is in being able to see multiple. It's not in polarizing to one idea or truth or belief system. It's being true to yourself as the Hue man, Hue woman, and being open to every potential that is already existing, especially for the other Hue-Mans or Hue-Womans, that the light beings that may hold a different perspective. And if we can look and be in the same circumstance but see multiple potentials, this is what the masters taught. This is what the masters lived. This is what Yeshua did. This is what the Buddha did. This is what Krishna taught. This is what the masters, they were able to see and look beyond appearances. They were able to step out of the back seat while not denying or diminishing or demeaning the game. The little person, the little play person with the plaything in the back. They're not denying it. They're not diminishing it. They're allowing themselves to see beyond. Even the car of creation, the masters were able to see beyond. They would step beyond the car of creation and come into the awareness that they are, even the awareness that is aware of the car of creation. So everything that appears is the car of creation. God's steering that, and we get to play out in the back seat with our little play ones. And again, it's not making that less. It's not about making that. That's where we were going when Martin distracted. Is it's not about this is an illusion, this is a dream. Deny all human experience and say war and human suffering. It's just a dream. That's just what appears to be happening. What you get if you follow some. I don't know if this is a term I'm going to use. Radical non-duality teachers, which is an oxymoron in itself. Talking about non-duality is impossible, but anyway, where their only answer, and Hermetic philosophy calls it the half-wise, their only answer to every human question is that this is just what appears to be happening. And that is absolutely true. And it's very easy to make that become a complete bypass of the human emotion, the human feeling, the depth of potential, how real it feels whenever someone dies close to you, how real it feels when you have the coming together of two beings in sexual union, how real it is, those feelings to the individual. Um, Grief, joy, all of the gambit of experiences. It's not about denying those things. It's absolutely not about denying those things. If we were to deny them, there'd be no point in any of this. It's just expanding our viewpoint to know that that is one perspective on infinite potential, and we are the awareness that is aware of the car of creation. And God is steering it, but it's not predetermination. Meaning God is steering us always home back to who we are, and the car of creation can go any way to that home that we've never left. And the Hue-Man, Hue-Woman plaything is the way in which we get to go home through a road, through a experience, on a boat, on a plane, on a lightship home to the place that we've never left, but we get that experience, because from absolute reality there is no experience. From absolute reality, from the non-dual awareness, knowing, there is none of this. None of it exists. You don't exist, I don't exist, this voice doesn't exist, life doesn't exist, death doesn't exist, none of those things. All non-duality can talk about is what is not. It's like the neti-neti process, not this, not this, not that, not this. Non-duality can't be spoken of, but from the relative reality of the human, of the Hue person, Hue people, the Hue people I like, yes, not Hue person, Hue people, let's call it Hue people, the light beings that are refracting light into a physical form. We are a refraction of light. If you've seen a rainbow, you've seen yourself. You're a refraction of pure white light, pure light. You've seen a rainbow, how pure white light refracts into 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. That's what the Hue people are. A refraction of pure white light into 7 colors of light, which correspond and correlate with the 7 chakras. But of course, that's just one level of the Hue being, because there are many more ways in which light can reflect. And the 7 chakra systems is the most basic of those. But anyway, we digress into another. It's not a cul-de-sac, it's always an open road. So let's leave it there with a little light. Hue beings. Yamara wati yatikwarana yatisa satiwara ampki e. Yatroya namakita usha sita epra ina kiwayana. Ina yatira itaraya pukura yatiwayana patina hoya. Uraya tatabra koyana se yatira yawan nantira yawan. Yamanati uchu sitra yatiwara yatira kiwara yamantira ye. So, car of creation, God steering, everything already exists. Everything already exists. We are the Hue people, Hue beings, the light beings in the back with our little playthings that can, again, not little, and play is a beautiful thing, not little in demeaning way. It means we get to collapse all of infinite potential into the specific perspective of potential that we get to steer ourselves towards. But don't allow yourself to too long to identify as the little person in the back steering the wheels, making everything happen. Allow yourself to come from the awareness that is aware of the car of creation, the awareness and the knowing that God, the divinity is always steering us back home, no matter how far we get lost, no matter how far we drop, no matter how far we forget, how much we forget, and play, 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 play. I love you all so much. Until next time, from my heart to yours, the divine in me sees, loves, and honors the divine in you. Namaste. We are